Joe Wilson is president of Sonitrol. That's a verified alarm system provider, and he's in studio with me today. Good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
Dave Jones is director of crime prevention with the Vancouver Business Improvement Association, a former Vancouver police officer. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And Michael Jagger is president of Providence Security and Event Management. He's with us too. Hi.
Good morning.
Joe Wilson, let me just start with you. First of all, what is a verified alarm system?
Well, verification is any means that we can tell that there's someone in a premise as opposed to just an alarm that sends a signal, so a red light flashing. And verification can be a human or a guard service or technology.
How does it tend to work? And if you're talking technology, what's the difference between verified technology and the alarm systems that I suspect most people listening have in their homes?
The conventional alarm system relies on motion or passive infrared or a door contact to go into alarm. And the problem with those is they can trip to environmental things. From a technology that's verified, our company uses a thing called active audio. So we use bugs and we listen actively to an environment when it's not occupied. So we hear people attempt to gain entry before they gain. Beyond that, we listen or we watch using video, so we can see people coming in and out.
So you're carefully monitoring a premise.
Correct.
I'm going to go to calls before I scream. 604-280-9898. Barbara, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I've got a small business, and I had a break-in around 9:30 at night, and my alarm company phoned me at home and says, you're being broken into or the alarm's going off, but they weren't going to call the police because the police weren't going to respond. So I get down to my store, and the front door is all smashed in, my computer, monitor, everything's gone, and I phone the police, and they say, no, we respond. The alarm company screwed up because of the time. They should have responded because it was 9. They don't respond before 7. So I wrote a letter to my alarm company and saying, what's the point of even having you if you're not even going to respond? I mean, you're charging me all this money, and you do nothing, and I never heard back from them. So I went out and got bars.
I thought you were going to say you went out and got another alarm company.
Well, no, I would do that too, but it's their equipment, and I've got, like a 2-year thing, and I expected them to at least send me a letter back saying, we apologize for the mistake, can we offer you a rebate in some of your alarm monitoring or anything, but nothing. And it's ADT, it's a big company.
What's your reaction to that?
It's pretty common. The reality is we get these sales folks who go out and make promises, get the deal, and maybe they work there the next day, maybe they don't. They're not security consultants. I think that Michael certainly knows what we do. We teach people how to make their businesses more physically secure from a SEPTED point of view, which are bars, the whole gamut, and then we'll talk to them about verified technologies. Pretty common that occurs. I think that in the big multinationals, if you were to give them a phone call, you'd be on hold for a long time. In our operations, we're a big animal. We have 197,000 customers in North America, but our ratio of account to monitoring personnel is 500 to 1. The conventional alarm industry is 12,000 to 17,000 to 1. How could they? They can't answer the phone. They can't get back to you. There's nobody there.
Wow. Not very reassuring, but I guess important to know.
These 3 or 4 guests you have there are probably the most intelligent people I've heard on the subject on any radio show. But it strikes me that CKNW and a lot of other media carry advertising for the one company that's pushing these false claims of security, and that is Alarm Force, which seems to be trying to sell people on the idea that if you have a loudspeaker mounted up in your ceiling, that's going to scare the burglar away. It seems to me that's what your guests were talking about earlier in the show, and I wonder if they'd like to comment on that type of selling of, I think, false hope, particularly preying on older people, and the fact that their ads seem to be always based on fear. It's always bothered me.
Fair enough. They buy the time. They provide information about what they believe they're selling. Joe Wilson, is that a form of verification or not?
It absolutely is. I can't bring myself to sell listen-back technology. All companies can provide it. Michael can provide it. Again, it goes to risk. If I tell people that anything is better, it all comes down to how much it costs to put in that better thing and what your risk is. Bill Good needs a good alarm system because of what you do. Joe Wilson, who has a lawnmower, doesn't necessarily need to have something, but if you absolutely want to have something, I would have to say that you should have a conventional alarm system that has a human that's going to respond so that they know what's happening, like Michael does. The Alarm Force stuff, it's going to scare away the opportunistic vandal who's 15 years old. But if I heard, please identify yourself, I'm not going to say it's Joey Wilson, I live at 101 Westchester Road, come get me. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. And the operator, unfortunately, at the alarm station, and all of them, is jaundiced to 98% false alarms. They're going to listen for a bit and disarm it. Turn it off, and the guy can clean you out. Is it better? It's better than nothing.
It's not verification.
But it's not verification.
If they talk, it is.
It's not. You know, if someone speaks back, but that system is simply a speakerphone. It's like most alarm companies. The alarm goes off. They assume that every alarm is false until proven otherwise, so they call to your premises. The two-way voice that Alarm Force offers and ADT offers, and every company under the sun can offer. Anyone can do it. It's just, rather than calling you on your phone, it's just talking to you through a speakerphone. If you don't say anything back, they're no further ahead of being able to tell anybody about what's going on. It's totally different than the technology that Joe sells, and it's completely different than our service because we don't do any verification. If the alarm goes off with our clients, we respond. We go.
And when you have a 95 to 98% false alarm rate, it isn't that the police don't want to apprehend people. It's a ridiculous statement to expect them to respond. Unfortunately, the industry sells to the consumer that they're going to get a response. And then they don't get a response, and of course they call the police and say, why didn't you respond? And they say, well, we don't. It's similar to the fabric guy that you had in here, where he was sold an alarm system, but didn't realize that there was no police response between certain hours in a community. The alarm industry knows that. They just choose not to tell them that. So the deal is verification, whether it's going to be a human or whether it's going to be technology. And then it's a partnership with the police. You'll find in all the documentation that you're receiving now from ECOM or Vancouver Police that they will respond promptly, dependent upon resource utilizations, to a human that says there's something occurring, or active audio, or remotely monitored video.
Remotely monitored video or active audio, I understand. A human, I mean, it seemed to me in the case of the fabric merchant who was here, that what the police were asking them to do was to actually go to a crime scene or a potential crime scene in order to verify that there was something going on.
Yes.
And that, to me, strikes danger.
It does, but again,
civilians in a dangerous situation.
Absolutely, but statistically, 98% of the time, it isn't putting anyone into harm's way. And I would think that it would open an opportunity for the consumer to say to their alarm provider, what should I do that's different? I believe that alarm provider should have, their dispatchers should have, you jump in on this, should have been more aggressive with the police dispatcher, because don't forget that the people that dispatch on alarms are very jaundiced to them all being false. If they had said to them, look, we have multiple motion sensors that have gone off, that's not true verification. It could be a balloon going through there. But if they had said there were multiple motions going off, trust me, the police would have responded. Do you agree, Michael?
I think it depends. If you're able to say that. The problem I see with most alarm systems, most conventional alarms people have in their homes, is they're not set up that way. The security industry has gotten away for years and years and years of selling an incomplete service. That they're selling it on the standpoint saying, well, people assume the police are going to come, and the alarm systems are woefully inadequate. So when the alarm comes in, it doesn't say anything. The new police policy in Vancouver, where the police say they will respond to a verified alarm, and the police have laid out, here's some circumstances under which an alarm can be considered verified. Most people's alarm systems, for example, they've got one motion detector in the main, the main hallway, or they've got a few motion detectors in the home, but they're all tied together into one zone, so that zone 5 might be 8 different places in the house. You're never going to get multiple trips on that. You've got a motion detector, and that could mean anything. The big problem is that because 98% of alarms are false because it's of user error. People coming home, arming and disarming. You're never going to get away from that. We offer a guaranteed 5-minute response. We don't dispatch the police. We go right away. So we don't have the problem of having to track people down to send. We just go, and our customers pay for that service. And even $40 per month. But even with that service, we see with our own rates that the false alarms are still, 90-95% of the time. It's just the nature of what happens. So it's unreasonable to expect the police to provide a service. I mean, that's a private service. The private security industry has gotten away with selling this incomplete service for a long time.